I would either do a deep dive into the history and the story and the philosophy of chiropractic. And I would talk about how that has changed and how that has remained the same through time. And I would go back, because if you are not familiar with the history of chiropractic, there's some really interesting characters and there's some really interesting stories about kind of how it all came to be and the journey that chiropractors went through. For example, there was a period where chiropractors were being thrown in jail for practicing chiropractic. And so I think, like anything, it's important to keep that history alive, and it's important that people don't forget what their chiropractic ancestors, I guess, went through to make sure that they had the ability to practice and even be a chiropractor. If it were not for the strong chiropractors of history, the profession would have been literally wiped out by the American Medical Association. And so I would encourage a deep dive and a reflection into that, and maybe bringing that story back to life for future pre-chiropractic students. I think that could be an amazing project. And there's a lot of people, a lot of resources who would help with that project, and who are experts in that area. And then my other, I think, option would be a research project, whether that was helping do some sort of research and publication around like the effectiveness of chiropractic, or diving into like the neurophysiology of chiropractic. If you're into nerdy neurophysiology stuff, I think there's so much potential there, because everyone's big knock on chiropractic, right, is that there's no way moving bones of the spine can affect acid reflux or whatever. Bullshit, it absolutely can. And if you understand neurology, you know exactly how it does. And you know exactly how aberrant motion of a vertebral segment, aka a vertebral subluxation, can affect the neurohistology of the nerve roots, which can affect the communication between brain and body. So the only people that I've ever met who like, I don't believe in chiropractic, or chiropractors or quacks or whatever, are ones that literally have never had the neurophysiology explained in a way that they get it. Because as soon as I do, they're like, oh, well, yeah, okay, I guess that makes sense. It does make sense. It absolutely makes sense. And we have a lot of research on, if A, then B. And we have a lot of research on if B, then C, and if C, then D. But bringing it together and doing the if A, then B, then C, then D. There's a great book, Dr. James Chestnut. I think it's the 23 foundational premises for the philosophical and scientific validation of the chiropractic healthcare paradigm.
Validation of chiropractic and the wellness paradigm.
Yes, boom, great book. And this is, I think, the closest thing to what I'm trying to say here. So I would say check it out. I love that book, especially as a Pre Chiro student. In fact, actually, I was diving into that book and I was like, wow, that was really fascinating, right? So I think doing some research around that, so that you could, if you want to talk about legacy, if you want to equip your pre-chiropractic students in your pre-chiro hub that you created for lasting success, and for, I don't know, let's call it validation, I guess, then you could give them this research packet, or like your capstone project, where it just lays out, this is the physiological research proof behind chiropractic and what it is and what it does. So that every single one of them, if they got the tough parents, they're like, why don't you want to be a real doctor? They can be like, actually, look at this incredible neurophysiology research that shows how vertebral subluxation affects the output of the body. This is what I'm going to be doing for people. It's going to be really cool. And they're like, oh, that's really cool. Or to every MD or to every bullshit or whatever along the way. That would be another really, really cool project. If you could just have the mic drop of research articles, or just of research gathered together in one concise place for people, that would be a really vital project too.